Hello and welcome back to another day in the arena. It's me, it's CGB, and today we're going to work on the free-to-play account with the Gruul clan's deck list. Gruul is the color combination of big hulking monsters, lots of strength, lots of power. And we're going to be looking for ways to lean into that and play with cards that really emphasize the idea of just playing huge monsters with ways to kind of benefit them. Major mechanic in Gruul is Riot. It says a creature with Riot enters the battlefield with your choice of a +1/+1 counter or haste, so they can be bigger or they can be faster, which is nice. And another theme is this card, Rhythm of the Wilds, which gives all your non-token creatures Riot. So you play this on turn 3, your creatures can't be countered anymore, which is nice. And the bigger creatures you play, the faster they attack or the larger they can become. So it's an interesting little interesting take. If you like big critters, Gruul is probably your color. When I think of red-green decks, I always think of my little sister, Kim, 2 years younger than me, my playtest partner. I was the evil control mage. She played Gruul, and it wasn't even called Gruul back then, just red-green. She just played red-green in everything. Her favorite card was Curd Ape, which is a red creature that becomes a 2/3 if you control a forest. It's only 1 red mana. It's busto, really. It's a 1 mana 2/3. They don't make them like that anymore. But yeah, that just shows you where her heart was at, always with the critters. So what are we going to do here today? We are going to try to fill this out with some early removal spells. Shock and Lava Coil are right here on the front page. And then we're going to try to make sure that we stick to the spirit of Gruul with big smashers. So let's start by getting some shocks and some lava coils in here. I don't know if I'll use all 4 of each. Some of these cards, like Chandra's Triumph, can be nice in the deck, and we'll decide whether or not we need that. The Regulator might be nice in the deck, just because decks like this often need to smooth their draw. And if we don't have a perfect curve of creatures ourselves, it may be hard to get together. But cards like Dreadhorde Arcanist, Runaway Steamkin, Ember Hauler, these are early threats, and we're looking for big later threats. We are the Mon-Thurs deck. Legion Warboss actually works really good with Riot because of the Mentor ability, so you can attack with it right away. So this is one card that I think can make the cut, even though it's a little undersized for the Gruul Smash strategy. Chandra Novice Pyromancer can ramp and is a Chandra Planeswalker. It pumps elementals though, and I don't plan to use a ton of those, but this could be an interesting card. Cavalier of Flame is an elemental. Pumps all other creatures, fire breathes. So let's at least give you a consideration. Here you go. Now there's some big monsters, but 7 mana is a lot. I don't think I want to use all 3 of the freaking Dracu sets that I've opened. Same here with Shivan Dragon. I'll decide. Shivan Dragon, by the way, always in my sister's red-green deck. She would approve. What else we got here? We want ramp creatures, so Druid of the Cowl can join, but I'm going to try to keep this a standard 2020 list while that event's available. It kind of evens out the playing field and lets us play against other decks that are limited to the similar card sets to what we are limited to. We'll grab all of the mana creatures, because when you want to cast big creatures, mana creatures help. Gift of Paradise is an interesting one. Whether or not to keep ramping or to play other like early drop monsters. I think other early drop monsters are better. I think that creature count is going to be huge when we're trying to maximize the power of Rhythm of the Wilds. Here's a nice monster, Nightpack Ambusher. Here's a strong Planeswalker, Vivian, and another strong Planeswalker, Nissa. Another big monster in Cavalier of Thorns that we've seen in some of our other decks, but pretty much go through your rares, go through your mythics, find the big monsters. That is the Gruul way. Aggressive Mammoth, perhaps. The Vicious Watcher, perhaps. We do have another Hydra here in the Voracious Hydra to throw in. So yeah, embrace the love of giant things. Here we are in the red-green cards. Let's get the 3rd Rhythm of the Wilds. And Collision Colossus is a very fun Gruul card, getting to pump things up or kill flyers, which not a lot of flyers in our set, therefore we have to be able to kill them. Frenzied Onyx might be something you want to add more of. It's a Riot trample creature that can get very large. Sundering Shaman is another big critter. And what else we got? We got the Ravager Worm, which is an excellent mythic. that came with this deck, I believe. And no special red-green lands. So, all right. We've got 90 cards here. We've got some trimming to do. First and foremost, as much as I love cards like Giant Growth, our big creatures don't need them. They should already be the hugest things in the town. Scorchmark is a worse version of Lava Coil and Chandra's Triumph, so it can go. Clan Guild Mages, as usual, aren't very good cards. The Guild Mages usually have to be cut from this deck quickly. All of the decks. Burning Tree Vandal, pretty weak Riot card. A little bit of card draw is not really what we're after. We want monsters. Same with the Shaman, making the opponent's creatures don't block. We don't care if they block. Our creatures will be bigger. That's the plan. The Rumblebelt Rioters is a pretty fun card, and with haste can be very strong if you have another large creature, so maybe we'll keep it for now. But this 3/3 for 3 that can't be blocked by creature tokens is not strong enough for my taste, although I like the art of this particular one. Savage Smash is supposed to be our removal, but I would prefer to lean on cards like Lava Coil, Chandra's Triumph, and Collision Colossus, possibly even a Thrash Threat, so I'm going to cut Savage Smash from the deck. We added one too many Arcbow Rangers, so that's an easy cut. And now that we get into the size, this is a weird card. Remove a +1/+1 counter from a creature you control to do 2 damage to any target. It's not great to me. That can go. We added much stronger cards along the way. I don't know if we need the Hydra because we only have one other Hydra that benefits from the ability, and we don't have that many spells that target our own creatures. Just a few, like this Thrash Threat. So I don't think the Voracious one really, I don't think that this Hydra measures up. We can move it to the sideboard. We're going to have to fill out a sideboard if we want Vivian in our deck, so watch for that to come. Just picking my faves. This can go in the sideboard as much as it's a nice big creature. But this Hydra is sweet. A Dracoseth is sweet. We can put another one in the sideboard. We've got the Awakened Inferno, Shivan Dragon, Aggressive Mammoth, Ravager Worm. Of these, I think I like the Aggressive Mammoth the least. The triple green cost might be hard to pay sometimes. Even though we have other triples along the way, you definitely don't want to have like 5 mountains on the board and a Cavalier of Thorns and Aggressive Mammoth in your hand. Alright, I feel like our curve is pretty low, and I think we have plenty of removal, so I'm going to at least cut some of the removal spells. You gotta make sure that you have enough threats, really. When it all comes down, you gotta make sure that you have a lot of creatures to do your attacking. I'm still, just not enough of a fan of the Rioters, so I'm going to give them the trim. I do like keeping the Pyromancer because it ramps us into larger things, helps us cast Cavalier Flame. Perhaps we could cut the Onyx, the Arinx. I don't think it's the best card, not compared to the size of Sunder Shaman, the strength of the Ambusher, and the Planeswalkers. So I think those can go. Maybe Chandra's Regulator should go. I have 2 Chandra Planeswalkers though, and I don't have many ways to kind of smooth our draw, so I really like it. So if you want to cut it, I perfectly can understand. But a few more 2-drops are probably where the cuts need to be. And I like Zartar Goblin a lot, because if I'm not going to ramp, I want to at least put power and toughness onto the battlefield. Maybe we just trim on the removal spells a bit to make sure that we have enough monsters to do what needs to be done, which is smash all the opponent to death. If you put too many removal spells in the deck, you just end up casting your one giant creature, the opponent kills it with 1 removal spell, and then you flood out and draw nothing but land forever and ever. Anybody been there? Alright, let's grab our sleeves. Let's take a look at our deck. I thought I grabbed my sleeves. Select. There. And yeah, I'm into this. We still need a sideboard because we run Vivian Arcbow Ranger, which has a -5. Choose a creature card you own from outside the game, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Outside the game means the sideboard. So we can add some critters to our sideboard. I'm not going to overthink it too much. Yes, I am. It's me. It's CGB. That's what I do. Here, have an Electrostatic Field, have an Ember Hauler. This is not going to be too complicated. It's going to become cards I own very quickly. Have a Glinthorn Buccaneer, darn it. Here, this has protection from white. That might be handy. This is an 08. We might need the hugest booty in all of Magic's. What else? 3 dudes? Why not? Another Dracoseth? You betcha. A Shivan Dragon? Let's go. Healer of the Glade, you gain life. That's great. Crawl Harpooner, kill a flyer. Fantastic. 5 more. Loaming Shaman, in case we're about to deck. Why not? It has this ability to shuffle things back into our deck. So what else? I guess if we have our Voracious Hydra in hand, we might want the Vicious Watcher. Here's the Unraised Forerunners to smash the face as viciously as possible. This gains life equal to the cards in graveyard. Maybe that's fine. And then we'll grab a Meteor Golem, because why the heck not? Who knows? There might be an enchantment or artifact to blow up. And we did it. All right. When tuning your Gruul clans list, take a look at your rares, your mythics. Definitely try to find room for them, but try to stay true to the theme of having big creatures, lots of big creatures, and doing big, smashy, strong things with them. Make sure you have at least 20 creatures in your deck. All right, let's roll. Paradise Druid, Nightpack Ambusher, Thrash Threat. Let's roll. Good old Shivan Dragon. These events have become pretty hard to compete in, the play standard 2020s. People have figured out the meta. They definitely now pretty much play the best strategies in a hyper-psychotic push to get all the EXP. Although this person, I believe these sleeves mean you're at the top of the Mastery Pass, which makes me wonder what they're doing with the XP anyway. Oh well. People just want to smash each other. That's the nature of Arena. Expect no mercy, expect no quarter. It looks like Cavalcade. Alright, let's get the Paradise Druid down. The sooner we resolve our Nightpack Ambusher, the more likely we'll be to win. Nightpack Ambusher making tokens can provide a brick wall for this deck. And they do have their Cavalcade on time, must be nice. No blocks. And go. I got nothing. I don't got nothing. Nothing to see here. No hungry wolves at the door. Of course, if Tin Street's all that attacks, the opponent can make it unblockable. Second Cavalcade. Why not? What else you got? Oh yeah, here we go. So the Torch Carrier can sacrifice to give other creatures haste, and the Tin Street Dodger can become unblockable. Either one can be a problem. Which one do I want to kill? I think I just kill the Dodger here. And by that I mean ambush. Yeah. So I'm going to take some 5 damage, I guess. I'll have a shock for the leftover creature. And we can take you off the board. Yeah. Can't save him now, can ya? Nom. Hungry wolf. What else you got? Should be all you got. The Torch Courier will hold priority, so something to keep in mind. All right, this turn is all about getting us some damage. If we pass the turn without playing another spell, we will make a 2/2, which will be awesome. Look at the opponent. They're trying to shock this druid. They can't. You can't block. Your creature's tapped to attacked. You have all this EXP. You've got your special sleeves. Don't you know how this works? I'm just joking, of course. We all have to learn as we go. I joke when I joke to fill time. I'm very sarcastic. If you don't know this about me, like you can get feisty with me in comments that I sound rude or condescending, but I'm just trying to have a bit of fun. All right, Tin Street Dodger is back. Let's see if the opponent makes this unblockable. If they do make it unblockable, we can shock. Okay, the opponent's trying to attack first, it looks like. So let's not. The opponent could activate this ability after getting into the combat, so we don't want these triggers to occur. So we'll shock the Tin Street Dodger right here, right now. All right, would you like to tangle with the wolf? Wow. Wow. So that tells me our opponent could have a light up the stage, or I don't know, something else. So I was trying to hold Thrash Threat. It is an instant. We could play it to kill something. I was trying to hold it for something like a Chandra Spitfire or Runaway Steamkin or something of that nature, but we may end up playing it on something else. Let's see how this turn ends. Crash Threat, by the way, instant. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to a creature or planeswalker you don't control. So 4 damage to whatever we want to. The threat side is a sorcery that makes a 4/4 red and green beast creature token with trample. If I could play the threat side at instant speed, I definitely would have there. Wow, so I only need to do 2 more damage to my opponent, 3 more damage to kill them, and the Zertog Goblin can have haste, but it's not enough to kill the opponent. I think that there's only one right play here, and it's the largest possible flex. We just have to slam the Siobhan Dragon. Good old school from the original Magic the Gathering set of cards. Siobhan Dragon, the original dragon. My eyes, I will never forget the day I first saw this card, and I got so excited to play this game. We have some early shocks and a Zata. We've got Drakuseth waiting if we can get there with the mana. Let's try this hand out. Should be nice. We're playing the Gruul Gate on 1 so we can Zerta on 2. Shock will have to wait. Our opponent takes a mulligan. They don't have sleeves. They have Karn. They have like the most boring outlook ever. Perhaps we're playing a computer. I don't know, but they do have the Winged Cat, which means they've already played a bajillion games of Magic in this season. Whoa. Pelt Collector, we've got one of those in our deck. Grows whenever we play larger creatures. Let's go ahead and get this creature down to challenge the Pelt Collector. Temple of Malady. This lets the opponent look at their top card, put it on top or bottom. These temples are sweet. And the opponent will, you know, they couldn't attack us. Obviously, the only rational thing to do is concede the game on the spot. A lot of Zertog Goblins out there. Maybe our opponent just didn't want to read the card. I don't know. All right, guys. This game is for a 3-0 in the Play Standard 2020 event with a tuned and slightly modified intro deck on a free-to-play account. I like this hand. We've got the Triumph, we've got the Goblin, we've got the amazingly statted, huge butted Living Twister if we draw a red source. Voracious Hydra and Ravager Worm can be flexible and make up some part of the top end. Temple of Triumph for the opponent, they start out with a Scry. Temple of Epiphany, Jeskai, Control, or Planeswalkers. Whatever that is, it's probably going to kill us. So, let's see, these decks usually run Deafening Clarion, which deals 3 damage to all creatures. I want to make sure that my damage gets in right away, but I'm kind of curious. If my opponent has a Shock, playing this as a 2/2 is a bad play. I think I'll go with the 3/3, just to be sure. If the opponent wants to Deafening Clarion 1 creature, that's okay. And they are taking the really slow train so far. Nice and easy, just setting us up and knocking us down. Let's try getting in for 3. Bing, bing. All right. So if this is Jeskai Planeswalkers or Jeskai Control, those decks sometimes, my friends, have a very hard time dealing with creatures with toughness of 4 or greater. So our biggest hope in this game is to have some big toughness creatures. And I got one right here named Living Twister, which might be hard for the opponent to kill. Let's find out. Justice Strike. Damage to a creature equal to its power. Doesn't work on high toughness creatures. So the Twister at least gets to live right now. Ooh! They have a Prison Realm. That's so mean. Bye-bye, Twister. But we are not done. We have a 4/5 Trample Voracious Hydra about to come down. Let's do that. So pay 2, put the Hydra down, double the counters. It's always nice, of course, when you can fight something with your Hydra, but you don't need to have an effective Hydra. Let's make our opponent find a way to stop this 4/5 Trample. Fairy Time Raveler can bounce it. That's annoying.
You show remorse, I'll show strength. Here we go.
And it draws a card. Now we have a few ways to kill Teferi, but the first thing I'm going to do is try sending the Goblin after Teferi. This might get the opponent to play something like a Shock or a removal spell on the Goblin. But no, Teferi's dead. Alright, we'll pass it on back. We might just play a larger Hydra later. Temple of Epiphany. Keep scrying. On top. Alright. That's gotta be pretty good. More Teferi. Yeah, that's pretty much what this deck is. It's a Teferi spam.
I've got it.
Alright, so the opponent pluses the Teferi this time. So now we have a few options. I think that I like just getting rid of this, but at the very least we want to attack it and keep it from being able to attack us in the future. I don't know. This is kind of a tricky one, but what I'm going to go with is I'm going to attack the Teferi, and now if Teferi minuses to draw a card and bounce, it will actually kill the Teferi to do it. I could put out the Paradise Druid, but that plays into Deafening Clarion pretty badly. I think that the Voracious Hydra is the place to be, the largest possible thing. I don't think that killing the Teferi right now is the priority. Double counters. So now, the opponent might have to completely spend their Teferi to get rid of it. And that's why we don't play all the small creatures, because of Chandra.
Just me, or is it getting a little warm in here?
And the opponent is going to play Chandra and plus it, and bounce my Hydra. Alright, the Hydra Fear continues. Gruul Spellbreaker. So I can kill Chandra. That's gotta be the play. The problem with that play is, again, Deafening Clarion. Wipe this out completely. If we take this down to 6 and then play that, the opponent still has to deal with this. Deafening Clarion wiping the board, though, is just such a problem. I could play this as a 4/4, take this down to a 6/6, down to a 6 loyalty, I mean. I could shock it. If the opponent minuses to target my Spellbreaker, I could shock this and that would get rid of it. That's not the worst. And I do want to hold back.
All right,
Let's see.
let's do this thing.
I want to hold back the Paradise Druid. We don't want that on the board. And Chandra's Triumph could also take away the ability for this to minus and take out the Spellbreaker. But I don't think the opponent wants to trade this for the Spellbreaker. I think they want to plus this Chandra. They definitely kind of tip their hand with spamming the emblem early instead of dealing with our board. Alright, the opponent had another Justice Strike. It's pretty frustrating. Can certainly get the job done. 8. There's the Clarion. So at least we made them spend 2 cards instead of 1. Now I need to use my mana effectively, so I'm going to send this Triumph at Chandra for a Flavor Fail.
Reaching my boiling point.
Gotta resolve these emblems, which are 1 damage to us each upkeep, and they pile up fast. Man, I keep on waiting for this extra land for this Ravager Worm to get haste and get in there, and it's just not happening. We could play out the Hydra and make the opponent have the answer. They've certainly... I mean, I just don't know if they do. The other idea would be to wait, flash in the Ambusher, but that dies also to cards like Justice Strike, and it's not good against a Fairy Time Raveler if the opponent finds another one of those. 2 of those have been spent, though. And this definitely scoops to Prison Realm, so there's no way to perfectly play around what the opponent has for us. No way at all. This will go to 7. Yeah, I think it's time to go for the Hydra again. The opponent has had perfect answers all day. Their deck is designed to do that. Sometimes you just gotta hope for the best.
No pressure.
Yeah, that's not gonna help. So I mean, like, between the mix of what they drew, there was, like, we could have played in a number of different ways. We wouldn't have been able to play around anything. The deck simply is overmatching us. All right, let's go, big guy. Come on. We'll be on 4 emblems, which means we're going to die insanely fast to the Chandra.
Let's get toasty.
And a
This isn't a fight you can win.
wow. Our opponent is max annoying. Just max annoying here. Alright, emblem, emblem, emblem. Death, death, death. Forest off the top. Okay, shoot you. Haste. Roar. At least you're going down, Chandra.
Don't know what's next for me.
I wonder if all the times with the haste cards, if I had attacked face, if I would have been close to killing my opponent. If that's the line, I should have just... If I had used all this haste to go face, how much closer, like where would the opponent's life total be, and would that give me a chance?
Decisions.
Yeah, the Planeswalker train will not stop. That we have learned. Well, I'm gonna play out my spells just to play out my spells. And say goodnight. Okay, early removal spell, Paradise Druid, Rhythm, Ramp, the Cav. This could be fun. This could be good. We lost a game, but we can still win this one to get the max out of the event if we're lucky. Godless Shrine. Hopefully not another control deck. If there's an arch nemesis to Gruul decks, red-green decks through the years, it's control decks. Esper. Jeskai is usually a better matchup, if that gives you an idea of how bad this is likely to be. But yeah, just unfortunate. Gruul, like, I was the control mage playing my sister when she played the red-green decks, so... My, how the tables have turned. Alright, Chandra gets taken. Card on top gets kept, so you know it's another Thought Erasure. That's the only thing they ever keep. But, just in case it's not, I'm going to say go and protect my Paradise Druid with Hexproof. When Paradise Druid becomes tapped, it loses Hexproof. So this way, if the opponent kept a removal spell, they can't stop me. Oh, it's everybody's favorite.
Excellent timing.
Bouncing the Rhythm of the Wild, of course. Alright, well, we drew an extra land. Kind of want to discard these lands. We can attack this, play this. If this dies, we do have an extra land to play the Cav. So, maybe I do want the Shock available, though. The other idea is to shock the Teferi and not attack the Teferi. I mean, this thing getting Oath of Kayat is pretty sad, but it probably will eventually anyway. Let's just shock the Teferi down. Let's protect this for one more turn. Extra mana can be useful.
I know my responsibility. Oh, I've done the hero thing.
So I've now played against 5 Teferis in the last 2 games. That's a good draw against Teferi, though. Okay, play you. Play you. I think it's totally worth it here. So we can haste you, which is pretty nice. You can go here, you can go here. If the opponent has Kaya's Wrath, they can't play it off the island. They'll need an untapped black or an untapped white source? An untapped white source to Kaya's Wrath here. And even if they do, then the Cavalier Flame comes for them. Of course, Cry of the Canarium is something you cheese balls can run all they want to. It's a very narrow sweeper, but people run it anyway. Alright, let's hook you up with some haste. Let's discard this land and draw a new card. That's pretty strong, or can be. When Cavalier Flame dies, the opponent takes damage equal to the number of lands in our graveyard. Right now, the answer is 1. Not the most impressive Cavalier, but it's also just huge. It's also a very big critter. And Teferi bouncing it won't help much because Rhythm is now online. Our opponent has 6 cards. Do any of them help against this?
Behold, you
Apparently not. Yeah, let's haste and counter because Riot stacks. Let's smash face. And now if the Cavalier dies, our opponent dies because they're at 1. They'll have to find a way to gain life or get out of this. Now, neither of these have trample, so Saheeli making little tokens can gum these up and slow these down, but I think we just make the opponent have it. We make them find a way. Or we just draw a burn spell. There's the Oath of Kaya. Okay, what else do you have? Shock for 2 life. Living on the edge. Double Oath of Kaya. Okay. It gains life. It kills the Cavalier. Then you take an additional 1. So does Saheeli. And you have 2 1/1s. Let's see what we can draw. Got our opponent on the edge.
I will not give up.
Can we find a way? Alright. +1/+1 counter. Haste. From the double Riot. Go face. Do not attack Saheeli while there's an Oath of Kaya. Chumps. Alright, it's on our opponent to find 2 spells every turn to make chump blockers. And that doesn't count what we might draw off the top of our deck. Ugin's good. Ugin's really good. And Ugin decides to destroy the worm. I would have made a creature, because then you're drawing extra cards on the way up. Right? Well, and drop my opponent to 1 and take a trade. I think I do it. Because now we're just trying to top deck a flyer or a burn spell, right? And if the opponent goes to 1 and we draw a shock, we win. Okay, it's not Enter the God Eternals, which would have gained life. That's what I was most afraid of. So now you're going to see the opponent start to turn the corner, and we're just trying to draw the perfect card. That's not it. That is not it. I'll hold it in my hand because maybe the opponent has a Thought Erasure and we make them spend it. That should do it. Discard a land card, 2 damage to any target. To your face. Suffer the Twister. It's an F5, baby! Yes! Got him! Let's hit that mastery tree, why not? Wow, I haven't done much with this at all, have I? Kind of embarrassing. I'll just go here. Alright. We've still got some packs to open. I'll open those for a future video. I hope you enjoyed this look at the Gruul Clans deck. Do your best to stay true to Gruul. Large creatures, smash, smash, smash. And yeah, you can upset even some of the better decks in Standard if things break your way. So, thank you for watching this video. For more free-to-play videos, remember to subscribe. Please hit like and leave a comment. It does help the channel. And I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.